So we're in the Motor Museum studio in Liverpool, and I'm with Al Groves, producer, engineer, studio guru, expert. This is the drum room. It's awesome, isn't it? I don't know if you'll be able to hear this on the video, but it's like really bouncy, stone and so on. What's the crack with the drum kit then? Is that your usual spec for setting it up?
This is my kit. It's an old 60s Ludwig. It's just like a really standard. Everybody in Liverpool has one.
They do.
Or everyone in Britain has one. But I've had it for years and really like it. This is probably pretty much how it gets mic'd. I'd say every day I do sessions now. I don't think it's particularly unorthodox. It's pretty standard really. What is it now? D112 in the kick. Something I've just started using is a Neumann TLM 170 outside, which for years and years and years I'd use a sub kick.
Yeah.
And just on a whim decided I wonder why I'm using the sub kick every day.
Yeah.
And not trying anything else. So me and an engineer, we got pretty much all the mics we had that weren't already assigned to other places on the kit, tried everything, and this thing just particularly sung that day. So
cool. And you've got an NS10 speaker over there.
And it's fine. It does what they all do. It does what it does. But this just seems to have get a little bit more resonance, and it's just a new flavour now that's going to.
And you've gone for the felt, very traditional.
Yeah.
Felt strip.
To be honest, I think these old kits, because they're so thin, they just sing and they're much more open than modern kits. But you say the same old tricks that you used to do years ago, I still do now on them. And it's just speaking to older drummers who have been doing it for years, who bestow little tidbits of knowledge on you that you nick.
And then quite a low Glyn Johns.
No, so this is new. This is new, and this is something I'm definitely doing now that I stole off Steve Albini. So I used to have overheads, would be in a Glyn Johns or just a space pair, and find that was great. But I would tend to mix the overheads really, really low for the kind of records I'm making. I like the drums to be really tight and present, and the overheads sometimes just made them too loose. So, but never had enough crash attack then. Yeah. So stumbled on a Steve Albini video where he basically does this, and he treats his overheads as spot mics for the cymbals, and then uses this or stereo pay in front, which is basically the stereo image, and he blends those two together. So what I do now is these basically when they're in basically really close to the crash, but across this plane rather than above it, they never really sound very good above, I don't think. And if you ever actually hit a crash with your ear above it, it doesn't sound very much like a crash. When you stand back, they sound great. So when you mic this plane, you get a much fuller, smoother, more of a bloom to the sound. And having them this close means that they pretty much are spot mics. When you listen to them in isolation and you just hear the groove, it's small, thin, pretty quiet, and then the crash comes in and it's really immediate to that side, and it makes a really usable set of overheads in the mix, really.
So I'm a recorderman guy, or variation on a recorderman. Do you?
Nope.
Are they just there? There's no distance.
They're just moved around a bit, so I'll get the drummer to do left crash, right crash, and just alternate, and I'll just balance them until I get an even, until they both sound good either side. And then there's so little information from anything else.
Oh, so you're not worried about the phase?
Exactly. I mean, you check the phase of the pair of each one against every other mic, and you get them as tight as you can. But the amount of everything else in this mic is so small that the compromise is fine. It is what it is, and generally I'm riding the crashes a lot in the mix as well. So the overheads are ridden pretty low, like minus 10 or 15, and then they come up. Sometimes come up 7 or 8. For the crash hit, so that the crashes explode and then disappear again.
Interesting setup on the snare. What's that?
So that's an M201 and a Calrec a Calrec condenser. I don't know what it is. CM something, Calrec microphone, something.
Are they CMCs?
You tell me.
We'll find that out and flash that up on screen maybe. Anything underneath?
A transformerless SM57 underneath, so it's a bit fatter than an old 57, and I really like that. That's been staple for a long time. And then TLM 193s on the toms, because I never find 41s, which everybody uses. I can never get those to work. And then I just think condensers on drums. I just think condensers generally, condensers and ribbons. I tend to prefer them. And then a KM84 on the hi hat. Yeah.
And that's quite high as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's quite way off.
It's just, but again, I'm cutting out hi-hats when they're not being used, so the hi-hat mic gets the same treatment as the toms. If there's no hi-hat played, not contributing to the sound, it goes.
I think Massenburg does a kind of a quite high hi-hat vibe. Yeah,
it just sounds.
They sound great.
Yeah, it just seems to sound nice.
Cool.
And then everything just gets moved. you start here and then you just tweak and tweak and tweak and tweak until it all makes a big cohesive
Are you
thing.
using this kit most of the time?
Yeah.
For the house sound?
Yeah, I mean, it's even not the thing. I don't really do the house stuff in the studio so much as these are. I've got a great house engineer who happens to really like this one as well, but he uses all sorts of different kits. This is basically, I would call this the owl drum sound that I really like.
Right.
That I find it much easier to get the sound I imagine with a kit like this, a thin one that's more open and sings more resonant than a modern kind of dead, maybe very aggressive but not particularly toneful kit.
What's that snare?
That's it's a World Max Black Beauty copy.
Right.
That's just again I tried and went to the drum shop and tried loads for a few hours and walked home with that. It was my favourite.
Was that ADC?
It was ADC, yeah.
Good old ADC.
So everything here has come from Andy. There's a plug. But I mean, nothing is particularly out of the ordinary. It's just really traditional, classic stuff.
And then what's the crack here? Is that?
So this is what you call this probably the primary room mic. So it's an AAR88, which is a stereo coincident ribbon.
Are you running that in Blumline?
Blumline, yeah, Blumline. It can do MS, but I've never done it.
Right.
I don't think. Blumline, it just works. It's just perfect, and it's usually because the room is it's a really aggressive room. It's really loud. It's really bright, and it's great. It's very explosive. So you don't need to push the mic far back in the room to get a massive room sound. And actually, I find that the further there's a point where not just in this room, in every room, a point where I find the room mic disconnects from the close mics. And it almost sounds like two different sounds that don't really work together. I much prefer an image that this is as if you stood in front of the kit, not as if you stood 30 feet back, hearing delayed kit. So it is pretty close for a room mic, and I don't.
And you're getting the back of this as well.
Yeah, you get everything.
Obviously, with it being a ribbon, so you're getting all of this.
Yeah. And the great thing about it, because it's so phase coherent. If you listen to it and the drummer's playing like a high kick-out snare thing, everything is very mono and very central and really strong in the centre, and you go, are we only getting one side of it? And then he'll go to something on the side and your head will do this, and the imaging is so strong, but the phase coherency is so strong in the centre that it sounds like it's a really robust sounding thing. And because it's a ribbon, it's not too abrasive on the cymbals, it's got a great bottom end, and you just walk around and someone will play and I'll just roam around the room and go, sounds cool here, grab the mic and put it there, and that's as hard as it gets. So it makes life very easy for positioning when it's all on one stand and it's just that.
Awesome. And really hard. Are these granite?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's stone? Really hard stone. Yeah. Really hard stone. Awesome space. So do you ever put anything out up in here? Or?
That would be the only thing, the PZM.
Right,
that's hanging up there. Sometimes there's two of them.
Yeah.
And they're PZMs, they're really bright, you know. They're
Tandy.
Yeah, just a cheap, I think it's
about
£40 or something. But that sometimes the R88 goes in the corner. Have been known to do 87s up in the back corners, which are cool as well. But if I'm totally honest with you, the room is so colourful that everything sounds the same. Right. So there isn't really the differences in techniques are more to do with, is it a ribbon mic, is it a condenser, is it a dynamic? Right. What do you do with it in the back end? You're going to get stone and big and loud and explosive no matter what you do.